What's up, YouTube? This is Tessa5th bringing you a video game review that has been long overdue on this channel. For today's video, I'm bringing the spotlight on a Nintendo Switch exclusive released back in August of 2019, and that game is Astral Chain. Astral Chain is a synergetic action game developed by the beloved Japanese studio known for the wacky action games, Platinum Games. Now say that sentence 10 times fast. You play as Rookie Cop from a special police division called Neuron. This division is commanded by Joseph Calvert, who has the ability to use these living creatures from the astral plane, which are called chimeras, domesticate them as if they were a stray puppy, and drape police gear over them, dubbing them legions. They're like a robotic K9 unit. Your role is to patrol, protect, and recycle, as well as solve various cases and mysteries that arise within this city known as the Ark. The Ark is the only livable area all of humanity has left to dwell in, since almost all of the Earth is corrupted by red matter, which is a potent substance caused by the wormholes that sucks people into the astral plane. Trust me, you do not want to go inside of there. As you progress throughout the game in a quest to find your dad, as well as your sibling who dares to make the ultimate sacrifice to ensure you live on, the plot gets dummy thicker when you encounter Dr. Jenna Anderson, who was a former student of Joseph turned terrorist who decides, in order to save humanity from ultimate destruction, why not merge with the very evil forces that is bent on absorbing all of humanity? Don't you just love being a protagonist? With the defeat of Jenna, Joseph thanks you by cloning your sibling to create a new task force that can also merge together. But wait, it gets even more anime as Joseph merges himself with the crystal that forms from your siblings' clones, merging together as one, thus creating the ultimate JRPG, fashionable, killer crazy god. When I first began playing, it took no time for the game to easily pull me in with its bold colors and unabashed anime style. The exploration in this game is diverse, with your visits to different cities and towns requiring you to travel across rooftops, sewer systems, metropolitans, and residential areas. Not only do you do much of your traversing underground level, but also vertically, which adds some depth to the exploration, and does a good job pulling you into its astral plane. The concept of the legions have been done already with games like Persona, where you have a supernatural accomplice fighting alongside you, but Astral Chain's spin on it was unique, and at no point did the gameplay feel as if I had played or seen anything similar to it before. Usually, I'll leave a section for music if the music is memorable enough and carries the story forward or assists in setting the game's atmosphere. From what I've mustered, there's no story beats carried forward in Astral Chain's music, but the music certainly is memorable with how it beautifully captures the feeling of a dystopic, otherworldly, futuristic universe that's fighting for humanity's survival. Going with electronic music, specifically what sounds to be trance, techno, and drum and bass influences, the game does relax at times with some down tempo during investigative and exploration sections of the game, but turns it up a notch with incorporating heavy rock and metal elements to create a combat phase remix of a particular location where the tussling is tussling on. Honestly, I would say that this game is very on par with Nier Automata's music with how it manages to capture that dystopic feeling so well. But instead of using violins and flutes and clarinets, Astral Chain opts for oonts, 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 boots and cats, oonts, oonts, oonts. However, it was about 10 hours into Astral Chain and made me ask one question. What was the story again? There's nothing striking about the story of Astral Chain that makes the tinfoil hat on the top of my dresser find its way onto my head and get the theories rolling. It is exactly what you see, your run-of-the-mill Japanese action game, but there's not a lot of memorable moments or events within Astral Chain that makes it stand out. The side characters are bland. The only character I did find interesting was Jenna, who was a great character that tiptoed along that gray area of wanting to save humanity, but using the most extreme of solutions no one with half a brain cell would agree with. If she had stayed as the game's primary antagonist, Astral Chain's story would probably have a stronger finish, rather than defaulting to somewhat politically powerful leader of an organization decides being a human is weak sauce and seeks upgrade to ultimate being. However, what I did find memorable is where Platinum Games always never fails to shine through with, and that is this next section, gameplay. Astral Chain offers a variety of elements from other genres to diversify its gameplay and keep players engaged with exploring this fantastical world. When you're roaming the city searching for clues, you enter into a detective minigame where you interrogate civilians to obtain keywords or key phrases that must be placed in the appropriate sentence pertaining to the information you've just gathered in order to gain more information on where to go or what to do next. There are also puzzles when traveling the astral plane and prompts requiring specific lesions to be used to keep the gameplay from getting dull. Seeing this game branded as a synergetic action game makes sense in that Astral Chain is pretty distinctive from other games developed by the same company, such as Nier Automata, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, and of course Platinum's most beloved franchise, The Legend of Korra. Going into this game, I was actually expecting for the combat system to be more Bayonetta-esque. Instead, it was the total opposite, but in a good way. The combat in Astral Chain is more methodical in that the game trusts you to be accustomed to the standard Platinum combat system with parrying and dodging, or get accustomed to their system. With the slower responsiveness of physical attacks in comparison to other Platinum games, Astral Chain easily calls you out on button mashing, especially when you're fighting enemies with quicker movement and attack speed, or fighting enemies in a group. Regardless, with the power to wield 5 different legions, which are Sword, Arm, Arrow, Beast, and Axe. The combat encourages players, and in certain parts forces players, to switch between legions that are more optimal depending on the type of enemy you're facing or depending on the boss's mechanics. For example, the Beast Legion is ideal for sniffing out and attacking enemy types who can go invisible, while the Axe Legion's shield is the best for handling projectiles. Unlike a game like Bayonetta where switching weapons are stylistic incentives to keep players challenging themselves and serve to give players a chance to freshen up their gameplay if they find her default guns totally out of style, Astral Chain is more limited and tests Platinum Games' ability to deliver the expected combat thrills they know how to provide within a more confined means, and I would say they delivered on that, though not without its faults. The fault in introducing new concepts as well as introducing a new series is fleshing out that concept on the first game. In Astral Chain, each Legion has a skill tree to boost his stats as well as new abilities for the Legion to learn. Looking past the standard attack, defense, and speed boosts, there's not much to the skill tree other than new abilities each Legion learns. A few of the new abilities are exclusive to that Legion, but other than that, there are universal abilities that every Legion can learn. Now, granted, this does flesh out the combat more, and allow for you to mix and match certain abilities to complement a particular Legion, but I was expecting for the skill tree to be more extensive. I will say though, it was refreshing to see a concept like Legions not necessarily serve as weapons, but more like tools, like extensions of the player character, rather than sentient beings. I would even go so far as to say that this game is the foundation for more games like this to be made later on in the future that would like to take up that challenge to produce their own synergetic action games. All in all, I know you're here to know if you should play this or not, and my verdict is, if you are someone looking for a fun time with the combat, this is your game. The gameplay is the superstar of Astral Chain. I would argue the gameplay makes up for how weak the story is. However, if you are someone who prefers for a story to have some degree of a lasting impact, you probably just wasted $60. But that's...
You regret paying $60 for this game, Tess?
What?
I said, do you regret paying $60 for this game?
But that's it for this video. Thank you all so much for making it to the end of this video. I'm proud of you, kid. Please make sure to click on that subscribe button if you are new to this channel, and click on the notification bell to be notified when more game reviews drop. And don't be afraid to leave a comment down below if you've played Astral Chain yourself, or if you are interested yourself in giving Astral Chain a swing. Till the next video, stay safe, stay healthy, and don't forget to wave at Lappy. Peace.